On to a stunning and emotional verdict in one of New Jersey's most disturbing murder cases. Paul Caneiro has been found guilty of killing his brother Keith, Keith's wife Jennifer, and also their two young children.
The jury returned guilty verdicts on all 15 counts against him, 4 of which were murder.
At 5:01 in the morning on November 20th, 2018, emergency responders in Ocean Township, New Jersey received a call. House fire. Smoke pouring from a home on Tilton Drive. When they arrived, they found parts of the house in flames. A red gas can in the driveway. A charred glove on the ground. The homeowner was outside with his wife and 2 adult daughters, standing next to a white Porsche SUV. All 4 had escaped safely. His name was Paul Caneiro, 51 years old. Businessman. He told authorities he didn't know anyone who would want to harm his family. 7 hours later, at 12:38 p.m., emergency responders received another call. Another fire, this time at a mansion in nearby Colts Neck. The homeowner was Paul Caneiro's younger brother, Keith Caneiro, 50 years old, business partner for 31 years. When officers arrived, they found Keith's body in the front yard. Shot once in the back, 4 times in the head. Inside the burning mansion, they found Keith's wife Jennifer, 45 years old. Shot once in the head. Stabbed multiple times in the torso. On the kitchen floor, they found 11-year-old Jesse. Stabbed multiple times. On a stairwell landing, they found 8-year-old Sophia. Also stabbed multiple times. Prosecutors said Paul Caneiro killed his brother's entire family, then set both houses on fire to create an illusion. Make it look like the whole Caneiro family was being targeted. The motive, they said, was simple. Money. Paul had been stealing from their businesses, and Keith had discovered it. The night before the murders, Keith sent an email. Said money was missing. Said he was cutting off payments to Paul's wife until he found it. 3 days before that, Keith told his father-in-law he was cutting off Paul's $225,000 annual salary. And if Keith and his family died, Paul would receive $1.5 million from a life insurance policy. Welcome to Beyond Guilty. On this channel, we go beyond the guilty verdict of the judicial system and lay bare human nature. Keith Caneiro was 50 years old. Started a technology consulting company decades earlier. Brought his older brother Paul on as his first employee. The company grew. Added Wall Street clients like Citigroup and JP Morgan Chase. Keith later earned a master's degree in technology management from Columbia University. His thesis focused on technology that could solve world hunger by matching excess food with hungry people. He was an avid reader. Read multiple books a week. Loved sports. Exercised regularly at a local gym where his trainer said he made everyone feel like they belonged. Keith and Jennifer traveled with their children to their family home in Greece. Hosted parties for every holiday. Jennifer Caneiro was 45 years old, graduate of the University of Albany, member of the parent-teacher organization at her children's school. Loved exercising, going to the beach, hosting family gatherings. Jesse Caneiro was 11 years old, 5th grader. Impressive knowledge of world events. Could engage anyone in conversations about World War I, World War II current affairs. Loved playing Fortnite, building Lego structures. Sophia Caneiro was 8 years old, 3rd grader. Girl Scout. Loved ninja classes, baking cookies, ice skating, gymnastics. New York Yankees fan. Vibrant, enthusiastic, precocious. Her positive energy was contagious. Paul Caneiro was 51 years old. Keith's older brother by 1 year. The brothers were best friends. Best men at each other's weddings. Talked almost daily. Worked together for 31 years. In 2012, Paul was seriously injured in a severe car accident in Asbury Park. Left him immobilized for a time. Required lengthy recovery. Repeated surgeries for injuries to his back, legs, knees. Took painkillers. A friend said Paul was never the same person after the accident. His personality changed. Keith and Jennifer wondered if he'd developed an addiction to pain medication. And according to prosecutors, that's when the stealing started. These cases take days to research and investigate. Your support keeps this channel bringing you the full stories behind the headlines. Like this video and subscribe to help us continue. The brothers owned 2 businesses together. Square One, the technology consulting firm. Keith owned 90%. Paul owned 10%. EcoStar Pest Management, a pest control business they took over in 2011. Equal ownership. Both businesses operated out of a single office in Asbury Park. After Paul's accident, his salary was paid to his wife because he was classified as disabled. An office manager told investigators that in the past year, Keith had told her to stop payments to Paul's wife because of arguments over money. Keith discovered Paul was stealing, misappropriating roughly $11,000 per month for personal use, claiming the charges as insurance reimbursements. A review of business records found numerous instances of theft. An indictment would later allege Paul stole $75,000 from Keith and his family between January 2017 and November 19, 2018. A lawsuit filed by Jennifer's family claimed Paul stole $90,000 that had been set aside for Jesse and Sophia's college tuition. Keith wanted to sell one of the businesses. Paul objected. Keith was looking for job opportunities away from Paul. Wanted to end the partnership. Keith began the process of removing Paul as a beneficiary from the family trust. On November 17, 2018, 3 days before the murders, Keith told his father-in-law Vlasis Karidis that he was cutting off Paul's $225,000 annual salary. On November 19, the night before the murders, Keith sent an email to 2 business associates. Said there was money missing from the business. Said he would be discontinuing payment to Paul's wife until he could locate the missing funds. He forwarded that email to a relative around 7 p.m. About 7 hours later, a white Porsche SUV was captured on neighbors' surveillance cameras leaving Paul Caneiro's Ocean Township home. It returned around 4 a.m. Sometime between midnight and 5 a.m. on November 20, 2018, Paul Caneiro was at his brother's $1.5 million mansion in Colts Neck, armed with a knife and a gun. Around 1:30 in the morning, Paul walked up to Keith's home security system in the garage. The cameras stopped recording. Paul later told investigators he'd turned the system off the day before because it made his Wi-Fi run slow. But when authorities examined the system, they found it was hardwired, not connected to a wireless network. Around 3 a.m., a neighbor heard 4 to 5 loud cracks, consistent with gunshots. Then one single gunshot. Another Colts Neck resident called 911 to report the gunshots. Township police investigated, but couldn't locate the source. Prosecutors said the brothers were in front of the white mansion when a confrontation unfolded. Paul fired multiple shots. Struck Keith once in the lower back, 4 times in the head. Keith's body was found on the front lawn. Paul then walked inside the home. Found Jennifer. Shot her once in the head. Stabbed her multiple times in the torso. She was found on a stairwell between the basement and first floor. He found 11-year-old Jesse. Stabbed him multiple times. Jesse was found on the kitchen floor. He found 8-year-old Sophia. Stabbed her multiple times. Sophia was found on a stairwell landing between the first and second floors. Autopsies would later cite smoke inhalation as a contributing factor in the children's deaths. Paul went to the basement, set a fire, took some documents. Then he left. Stories like this reach more people when you share them. Help us honor these victims by sharing this video with someone who follows true crime. Around 5 a.m., Paul Caneiro returned to his Ocean Township home, still under cover of darkness. His wife Susan and their 2 adult daughters Marissa and Caitlin were sleeping inside. Paul poured gasoline outside the 2-story home, ignited it. At 5:01 a.m., emergency responders received the call. Smoke at the house. When they arrived, Paul, Susan, Marissa, and Caitlin were outside next to the white Porsche SUV. All safe. Investigators found a red gas can in the driveway, a charred rubber glove on the ground, a scorched garage door, burn marks on the white Porsche. Inside Paul's garage, they found a digital video recorder for his home security system. It had stopped recording right after Paul walked up to it at 1:30 a.m. Paul told authorities he didn't know anyone who would want to harm his family. For the next 7 hours, the fire at Keith's mansion went unnoticed. At 12:38 p.m., a neighbor's groundskeeper smelled smoke coming from the mansion. His boss called 911. Dozens of firefighters responded to the 1-acre property on Willowbrook Road. When they arrived, they found Keith's body on the lawn, shot multiple times. Inside, they found Jennifer, Jesse, and Sophia, all dead, the mansion burning around them. When firefighters burst through the doors, a surge of oxygen caused the small fire Paul had set overnight to erupt into an inferno. It consumed much of the house. Plumes of smoke poured out. Fire crews saturated the structure and lawn. They wouldn't put down the fire until about a day later. Within hours, investigators announced the family had been targeted. Victims of homicide. Paul Caneiro sat in jail. Initially arrested on arson charges for the fire at his own home. Suspicions were increasing that he was involved in the deaths of his brother and his family. Investigators executed a search warrant on Paul's Ocean Township home. In the basement, they found a plastic container. Inside, clothing. A pair of jeans. A latex glove. Red stains consistent with blood. The New Jersey State Police DNA laboratory analyzed the blood using S-Tiermix software, a tool that can analyze complex DNA mixtures that would have been considered unusable a decade ago. The blood on the jeans belonged to Sophia Caneiro, 8 years old, Paul's niece. The DNA was 2.7 septillion times more likely to have come from Sophia than someone else. Investigators also found an unspent 9mm round in the clothing. consistent with shell casings found at Keith's home. In one of Paul's cars, they found a 9mm Sig Sauer handgun in a backpack, along with a firearm suppressor, a night vision firearm accessory, a laptop, Paul's passport. On November 29, 2018, 9 days after the murders, Paul Caneiro was charged with 4 counts of murder: felony murder, aggravated arson, weapons offenses, theft, misapplication of entrusted property, hindering his own apprehension. 16 counts total. On November 30, 2018, Paul Caneiro appeared in Monmouth County Superior Court, pleaded not guilty to all charges. The trial was delayed multiple times, first by the COVID-19 pandemic, then by legal wrangling over what evidence could be presented, including arguments before the New Jersey State Supreme Court. One major issue: the S-Tier-Mix DNA software. Paul's defense team argued the technology hadn't been properly vetted, that it could produce false results, that it hadn't been tested the way safety-critical systems used in cars and airplanes are tested. Prosecutors argued S-Tier-Mix had been tested and tried in labs and courts across the country, that it's the most widely used probabilistic genotyping software in the United States, that it had revolutionized the ability to analyze complex DNA mixtures. A judge held a weeks-long pretrial hearing. In February 2024, Monmouth County Judge Mark Lemieux ruled the S-Tier-Mix evidence could be used. Another major issue: Paul's home security system. The defense argued police seized it without a warrant. Judge Lemieux initially agreed, ruled the evidence would be excluded. Prosecutors appealed to the New Jersey State Supreme Court. In a ruling, the High Court overruled the lower court, found that police were justified in seizing the evidence without a warrant. The security system evidence would be allowed at trial. The trial began January 12, 2025. Paul Caneiro was 59 years old. The prosecution presented their case. Surveillance video of Paul's distinctive Porsche Macan leaving his home the morning of the murders, returning around 4 a.m. The home security footage showing Paul walking up to the system at 1:30 a.m. Then the cameras stopping. The bloody jeans and latex glove found in Paul's basement. Sophia's blood. The DNA evidence analyzed through S-Tier-Mix. The 9mm Sig Sauer found in Paul's car. The suppressor. The night vision accessory. The gas can. The charred glove. The scorched garage door. Keith's email from the night before the murders. Money missing. Payments to Paul's wife discontinued. The financial investigation showing Paul stealing $11,000 per month. The $75,000 theft allegation. The $90,000 from the Children's College Fund. The $1.5 million life insurance payout Paul would receive if Keith and his family died. The defense presented their case. Paul's daughters Marissa and Caitlin took the stand, testified about the moment they learned their uncle and his family died. "When they told us everyone died, my dad was really upset and crying," Marissa said. "He fell to the floor, and I was just holding him." Defense witnesses portrayed Paul as calm, intelligent, helpful. A family man who had an extremely close relationship with Keith. Defense attorney Monica Mastalone argued authorities developed tunnel vision around Paul, didn't investigate other suspects. She pointed to a third Caneiro brother, Corey, said he also would have received $1.5 million from the insurance policy. Said authorities didn't investigate him, didn't take a sample of his DNA. Corey Caneiro has denied any involvement in the deaths. Mastalone also suggested 2 people reportedly seen at Keith's home shortly before emergency responders arrived may have been involved. Prosecutors dismissed that, said the 2 men were first responders, said neighbors were wrong about the time. The jury saw video of Paul's family on their lawn after escaping the fire at their Ocean Township home. They heard from prosecutors that Paul disabled his brother's home surveillance system, set the mansion on fire, set his own home on fire with his wife and daughters inside to create the illusion that the entire Caneiro family was being targeted. On February 13, 2025, after deliberating for about 4 to 5 hours, the jury of 8 men and 4 women reached a verdict. Guilty on all counts. 4 counts of murder. 2 counts of aggravated arson. 2 weapons counts. Theft. Misapplication of entrusted property. Hindering prosecution. 15 counts total. Paul Caneiro sat motionless as the jury foreman read the verdict. Showed no emotion. His wife Susan and daughters Marissa and Caitlin were not in the courtroom. Jennifer Caneiro's mother, who had attended the trial daily with Jennifer's sister and other family, mouthed thank you to the jury. Jennifer's family and friends applauded Assistant Prosecutors Christopher Decker and Nicole Wallace when they emerged from the courtroom. Monmouth County Prosecutor Raymond Santiago addressed reporters outside the courthouse. "I know the impact that this has had not only on the family, friends, and the community at large in Monmouth County. Paul Caneiro now faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. His sentencing is scheduled for May 12, 2025. On February 13, 2025, a jury found Paul Caneiro guilty on all 15 counts. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. More than 3 decades working together. Best friends. Best men at each other's weddings. But Paul chose money over family. And on November 20th, 2018, for people paid with their lives. This is beyond guilty.